in the world of Kubernetes. So just wait a bit. I will, uh, yes. Okay. So my entire screen is visible to all. Okay. Yes. So this is the part 5 of Kubernetes. In the last session, I will explain how we can create pods based on a particular image, and inside the pods, many containers are running. Okay. We create different pods. Actually, all this will happen in a single cluster. Okay. So if we are wanted to interact with the container in which uh, the the container which is running, so we have to firstly log in a cluster in which on that cluster a particular pod, and inside that pod a container is running. So firstly we have to go on the environment where this pod is running. Okay. uh, okay, so wait a bit. Wait. So we are inside the environment where the pod is running. Okay. So firstly we have to go inside the environment where pod is running to interact or to go inside the particular container. So we are moving forward, and firstly use this command docker exec /it container id and sh. So for that we have to firstly log in our minikube cluster. uh, Basically we can say inside our physical machine, virtual machine is created, and on that virtual machine we have to process this testing environment, and just go with this. So just we are going with. So wait. Firstly, yeah. Okay, my entire screen is shared to all, so that. So I think it's already shared. Just we can go with the C command line, and just firstly check the status of our minikube status. This is a single cluster running on a virtual machine that is created with help of a virtual environment, and that is in my device. It is Hyper-V. You can create that virtual machine like VirtualBox also. So it is very helpful. Okay, so we can see clearly that Minikube cluster is running. Okay, so this time we have to log in. Such we are inside the Minikube cluster, and inside this many pods are running. So if we want to if we want to see the many containers inside the pods, we just use this. So these are the many containers. Some are the necessary ones, which is necessary to run with respect to the cube, like Kubernetes cluster master node, but some of them are created manually. So inside this, firstly, I want to know, wait a bit. Firstly, I have to create a new cluster. So kubectl run pod name. So I want to con one. Okay, container one. Sorry, pod one. It is more useful. Wait, wait a bit, guys. So okay. So kubectl run and pod p1. It's a simple name p1 based on the image watch, that is nginx. So it is created, and uh, it is on running. If you want to see Actually, just write kubectl get pods. So here's the list P1. These are also running, but not. I'm explaining why this is development. Sorry, deployment is mentioned here. I will explain this part in my next slides. So just mention here P1 is on the running phase, and I have to go inside the P1. Okay, to get the IP of this container. Okay, so just okay, so we know that it is running. Name is P1. So just we have to log in again. We are inside this and just write docker ps slash grep P1. So we know that this is based on the ngnx and the ID is this of the pod ID. Basically, we can say, or we can not basically pod ID, it is a container ID. So write the same command which I have, which I was explained previously. And here we have to write. We have to write. Wait, wait a bit. Here we have to write what? Uh, yes, Docker exec slash interactive mode and ID. That is this simple copy, just paste it just as such. So this hash is clearly shown here, and this hash will identify that we are inside the container which is currently now running. Okay, so we want to know the host name, that is the P1. Actually, the container name is the host name. If I want to know the IP of this, so just write I only. So this is the correct IP in which our container is running inside a cluster. Basically, we can say inside the pod. So this is a IP, and just if we want to connect this IP, so firstly we can go with the flow. So Docker exec IT container ID sh. The command Docker exec slash IT container ID sh starts an interactive cell inside a running Docker container. The IT flag enables interactive mode, allowing you to run command inside the container. Actually, the same thing I'll explain. And now we are going one step back, and inside one step we are inside the cluster where this dollar symbol is there. So just write exit here. Wait, exit. So we are inside the cluster, not inside the particular container. And here we have to write, firstly, we are in this position. And here the C, what is CURL? Firstly, I have to explain. The CURL, basically the CURL, it is a client URL. Okay. Command is a tool used to transfer data from or to a server using various protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, and more. Okay. So is a command used to transfer data or getting data from a particular server using various protocols. It is commonly used to make API requests, download files, or check server responses. Okay. In Docker or Linux environment, CURL helps test networking connectivity and fetch web development content from URLs. So here we just using CURL to get a web content from URLs. Okay. So just here write CURL and the particular IP, which is this, and just write, paste it here. So if you, this is the basically what, this is a basically HTML file which is mentioned if like in my previous sessions where I explained Docker. I explained Docker in detail. So on those sessions, I clearly run the command of nginx, and just on that session, I also show you with the help of URL. This basically, I just connect the container inside our, basically Docker is inside my device now, so I don't have any cluster. So just I run a container and just I connect the container to my web server, basically my web browser. And on that web browser, you can clearly see nginx container inside, like my device container is running, and whatever the web content of the nginx container which is running, so we can clearly see on my browser. So here a particular cluster is running, a particular cluster is created, and inside that cluster particular pod and particular pod a container is running. So we don't have the power, actually we don't have the power to connect with, like, on my web browser. Okay, so we have power only to go inside the cluster and just connect a particular pod, and then we can go one to get to know whatever the web content data from this particular IP. Okay, but we don't have the power to connect from our web browser because a single cluster is also there. So we have to go like path one move at a time and one move etc at a time. So just we are moving one move. So this is the command inside the cluster. If we connect that cluster into particular IP which is running, which is IP of container. So this is the this is the basically web development content, basically a web page content. So if we are this time see that URL helps to test connectivity and fetch development content data. So if you want to test that with here, like from my web browser, see URL and just paste this IP. So see what is happening. It will take a little bit of time. Okay. So wait guys. So here you will clearly see that. So here you will clearly see that failed to connect to particular IP port 80 after 21036 MS could not connect to the couldn't connect to the server. And wait. So okay. So here you will clearly see that here you will clearly see that we are not able to connect with our device to if we are inside the cluster, like with the help of minikube ssh command, then we have the power to connect. But now we have don't have the power to connect. And commands URL hostname IP request data from the container's own internal IP, useful for self connectivity testing, like inside a cluster it is connected or not. So with the help of this we can clearly understand. So till then, firstly I will explain docker exec. With the help of what exec command do, it will go inside the container, and all the things are mentioned also here. So we have to move forward. And now the kubectl get pod slash o void is there. So what is this command? Basically, this command explain all the data. Like we don't have to go like it is a tough like what we can say. It is a lengthy process to get a IP of a particular container which is running on a cluster. So we have to write a single command. By that, with the help of this, we can clearly get to know how what is the IP of the pod, basically container which is running inside the pod, single container. So the command kubectl get pods slash o void list all the running pods in the current Kubernetes namespace, the default namespace. Okay, with the additional details, the slash o Void flag includes extra information like node name, pod IP, assigned node. Okay. So kubectl is so firstly we have to perform this operations, and here kubectl get pods. Let's go void. So here a particular IP is also there. So with the help of this, you can clearly perform uh, you can clearly perform the connection of a cluster inside the minikube. Don't have to go inside the container also. So here one thing is also you can understand but the Kubernetes, we can say inside Kubernetes of Docker is assigning a particular IP address in sequencing way, like here 18, here 17, here 15, here 19. If we list down 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, which is the last one is 20. If I create a one container more, and you will be able to see that the IPs differ only by one digit, that is 21. 20 to 21 is mentioned there. Right now it is 20, and after creating another pod it will be 21. So this is the thing also you will get to know. So here kubectl is not convenient for pod creation because it can operate only on only a single cluster at a time, making multi-cluster management is difficult with the help of kubectl. So I have to delete pods. So just write kubectl delete pod. What's the name of the pod? There's a p1. So P1 is deleted. And now if I list this, so here no P1 is mentioned here. Okay. So now you will be clearly understand that with the help of kubectl delete pod nginx. Nginx is basically image name. So here any image sorry pod name. So any pod name is that with the help of this you can clearly delete pod which is running. So the command kubectl delete pod name deletes a specific pod from the Kubernetes cluster. The pod will terminate, and if controlled by a development or a replica set, it may be recreated automatically. So here the solution comes. We have to go with a deployment, not directly pod creation. Okay, because if you are running a very big service, and on that a particular pod is deleted, you have to you and another pods got a very high service running on them, and very load is increases. Okay, so for the resolution of this, you you have the power to create a one pod again, and on that the the load is transferred. So for this a deployment is required. Okay, on that deployment it automatically recreates the pod. Okay, so the basically we can say the load is balanced. Okay, Pranjal, are you there?
Yeah, I am there.
My voice is clear.
Yeah, you are audible and visible.
Okay, okay.
All good.
So so here we have to write the single command kubectl delete pod. So it will delete a pod running on a cluster, and I have to move forward. So till now this point I explained this and this. Okay, so now we have to go with this. So what is the drawback of kubectl? Normally on a single cluster pod creation is we like I explained all this, because if we delete any pod, then the next automatic creation of pod is not done, and the load of this pod will be distributed among multiple pods, and that will cause a problem on your service which you have provided to someone. So just the service I'm talking about the cloud service. So here another slide in this alias tag and main command word. Alias, this is the screenshot. So wait a bit. I just so firstly we'll read this. This creates a shortcut tag for a longer command in Linux or a Mac OS shells like Bash or ZSH. It does not work on Windows command prompt or PowerShell by default. Okay, because they don't support aliases. To use it on Windows, you need to install the git bash or use PowerShell uh, alias command instead. Okay, so we just actually the first topic which I will take in this source content is Git. So Git is also installed on my device, Git Bash. So just we are going here and just write alias. And actually, kubectl word is lengthy word. We have to go with the small. So just we write the alias of this kubectl. So it is running on this, and if we write the commands kubectl get pods. So here, this deployment, basically pods are running. So we are successfully connected with that. Screenshot is also there. You will like kubectl get pods is equivalent to k get pods. Okay. So this alias is work only for the current terminal session. If I just ended this session, so alias like kubectl, we have to write the kubectl. Don't do like k is not working on that time because on the configuration settings it is by default said that kubectl is kubectl. If we want to go with more editing portion, then we have to change the configuration settings and then we can clearly use K, but it is not convenient for all of us because changing the configuration is not suitable. Okay, so you can clearly stand what is the alias command. So now we will go with the solution part, that is deployment. So deployment creation. Creating a deployment in Kubernetes is essential because it manages multiple pods efficiently within a single cluster. Okay, unlike manually creating pods, deployment provides self-healing, ensuring failed pods are automatically replaced or recreated. They are enable rolling updates and rolling backs, preventing downtime during application updates. Deployment also maintains the desired number of pod replicas, balancing workloads automatically. This makes managing application easier and more reliable compared to handling individual pods manually. Okay, so this makes so actually I'll explain in next slide also. So here, wait. So manually creating pods in a single cluster is problematic because a crash plot would not restart automatically. Like uh, the previous command which I running, I deleted and it will not restart again. If it is crashed also, it is not automatically restarts. Updates the scaling and become difficult since each pod must be managed individually. Okay, a, a deployment automates this, ensuring stability, easy updates, and self-healing. So for create a deployment, just write this command k create deployment. I have to write d1. Okay, single d1 deployment and image. Right. I want to create a deployment of Redis. So d1 is created and if I want to know the running pod's name, just get pods. So here you can clearly see D1 and something hash value and something tag is label is there is running. So based on that image, we have to we created a deployment and that clearly shows that uh, a container based on that Redis image is running and the name of that container is this. If we want to know the details about this container, just I write this. Actually, here also this the single this the command which is written and also showing a running concept here. So automatically creates a pod based on a specified image within a deployment, and that deployment is basically that that deployment. Okay, so here a D1 is also this tag is running because it creates a single pod based on that image inside the deployment. And with the help of deployment, it is easier to scale up. If you want to create a 5 containers based on a single image, it is easy to scale. You don't have to write every time single command for creating this container and creating this pod. We just scale up, and if anyone is crashes, it automatically restart that. Okay, so just we move forward. So Kate describe firstly we go with this. K describe deployment, and the deployment name is, wait, what is the deployment name of this D1 na? So just write D1. So here the entire detail is mentioned. So what K describes are names. Firstly, name of the like deployment, that is D1. The space is default namespace, timestamp when I created. So it will push a level on that inside that basically deployment, and based on that level we can clearly identify our pods. So a selector is also there. What is selector and what is replicas, I will cover it in next slide. So here a single desired container, sorry, pod is running right now, that is based on the Redis image. So the strategy type is rolling update. I will explain in next sessions also. So labels, with the help of labels, I explained this with the help of labels. You can clearly identify the pods or the containers which are running. So here Redis and all the details is mentioned. So available is a mini cab replicas. With the help of replicas, we can segregate many containers. So here is a normal replica set. Replica set is used to control the pod, we can clearly say also. So scaled up by replica set. Okay. So just here, the command key describe deployment. Deployment no, name shows detailed information about a deployment, including replica, count, pod status, container image, update strategy, events, and it helps in debugging, monitoring the deployment. Okay, so as what is selector? A selector helps in a deployment or a replica sets find and manage the right pods using levels. It ensures only the intended pods are controlled. Without a selector, Kubernetes would not know which pods to manage. Okay, Kubernetes don't know which pod to manage. With the help of a selector, we can basically manage the right pod, and not selector, basically we can say a level. Okay, so what is a replica set? A replica set ensures a fixed number of pods are always running. Actually, in last slide, I will explain about replicas a little bit more. So you will clearly understand in my last slide. It is basically seventh or eighth slide. So if a pod crashes, it automatically creates a new one to replace it. Okay, it helps in maintain application availability without manual intervention. Okay, so just move forward. So okay, describe pod. Okay, so here we can simply describe our what deployment, but we have to describe our pod also. So the similar command mention also. So k describe pod and the pod id, pod name basically. So just I want to take this pod. So just here, if I just write, actually here I think it is not working. Wait, copy and paste it here. And here you can clearly see. what are the entire details about a particular pod is running. So pod is name is this namespace is default. Priority is nothing. Default namespace node actually in which node it is running. This pod is running. So it is a node inside our mini cube. So mini cube is a single cluster. So on that is running start time and annotation particular IP of the container. So it is this replica set controlled by I previously explained the replica set controls, so it is controlled by replica set and redis inside this redis image. Many details are here. So at the last volumes are projected a volume that contains injected data from multiple sources. So what is the process? So firstly, I successfully assigned a default to Minikube. When I created an environment, it will pull the image from the Docker. Actually, I create an environment, a development environment inside the sorry, deployment deployment environment, and inside the deployment, it is based on a particular image. So it just call the Docker, which is inside the Kubernetes, and Docker is will go through the command of a Docker hub and take the image on Docker hub and pull it into the mites that container basically which is inside a cluster and a successfully pulled image and based on that image a created container redis and started that container. So overall events which is happening is mentioned here and how much time it will take. So you will see it will take a very little bit time and also how much uh, how much duration from the process it will take. So okay, so command case scale is I think done. So the case scale deployment name set replica the exact the extract. Okay, so wait so this is the main command which I want to explain and this is the right last command. After that my session is ended. So wait. So I explained how to describe a particular pod and how to describe a particular deployment. So I explained all the commands which are required. So these are the following commands. We start with the docker exec curl and get pods, how to delete a pod, how to alias it, why basically a deployment is created, and how deployment is created based on a particular image. What is replica set? What is selector? And now it is the time to use basically the purpose of deployment. So just I write it here. Wait. So now I think screen is visible to all. So K. Okay. So voice and screen are clear. Pranjal. I think it
Yeah,
is
yeah, it
okay.
is clear.
Okay. Okay. So just wait. So cube. Sorry. K because I alias it into K. Actually, I run this or not. Wait. So at the starting of this. Okay, so alias k is equal to kubectl. So actually the same session I just not clicked on this cross. So just write k scale deployment and deployment name. What is the deployment name? That is D1 and replicas which we want to increase that is 5. So firstly, I will go on the slide portion and here k scale deployment name slash slash replicas is equals to number of replicas. So what it will do? So the command k scale deployment name number of deployment names sets the exact number of pods for a deployment. If there are fewer pods, so Kubernetes create new ones. If there are more pods, so it will remove extra ones. This helps in scaling application based on demand. It ensures the deployment maintains the specified number of replicas. So just I write it here. Wait, here. Okay. So just if I write 5 and just press enter. So here you will clearly see that only this D1 and running. Okay. So if I just go with the pod's name, so just I write k get pods, and if you write this and just enter, so here you will clearly see that only single pod in previous time, just I scroll up. So here, so only single pod is running, okay, based on a particular image. That is, we will set at the starting time of our deployment. So now here you will clearly see that five pods are running, okay, based on that single image. So this is the power of deployment, okay. That clearly shows the power of deployment. With the help of a single command, if I want to use the 10 replicas of that, so I just run 10 containers based on a single image, based on a users, based on a, like we can say, burden of a particular pod. So with the help of this, we can clearly say it will increase our usability and reliability also. So now I just move on our slides. It ensures the deployment maintains the specified uh, number of replicas. This helps in scaling application. So just I write k scales. K, why k scales? Because I just alias it in k, like kubectl to k. And with the help of k, we can just write a small commands. We don't go with the lengthy command. So here basically thing is mentioned. Here the nginx example is there. So if just is this in this single command, just write the deployment name and the number of replicas. So now that number of containers are there. Only if there are more, so it will be deleted. If there are less, so it will be more created. I specified number of containers is the number of replicas. Basically specified number of the pods are running, that is the number of replicas. So thank you all. And in the next session I will be explain I so in the next session I will taking all the concepts which are after this portion. So thank you all.